Well, I'm back in the Riverland of South Australia today. I've just stopped at Waikerie for a coffee and a refuel, and I'm heading up to Catarapco again for a overnight camp and a shakedown before I go to Cape York. So basically it's about putting up the tent, making sure all my camping gear is sorted and that I'm familiar with processes, because I don't want to be wasting time when I'm up in Queensland and it's starting to rain. Oh, and I might just be able to do a little bit of fishing as well. Just about to check out my first likely spot. Right, well, I've just turned up at one of my all-time favourite spots up on the river. And when you have a look at this, I think you can see why. Just beautiful. Well, it's finally all up. I've got to say it took me a lot longer than I expected. I'll have to get a bit more efficient at putting this up. I probably only used the awning most times, and the tag-along tent, which is this one on the end here, only if we get solid rain, because it's a very waterproof tent, and want to make sure you stay dry. Inside here I've got my stretcher tent, which obviously doesn't need a fly sheet when it's inside. And the good thing about it is it's a double layer of mosquito proofness, if that's such a word, and I won't need that. I've got a curved ridge pole which will help shed water if it rains. It's also got a light in it which connects via this cord to the auxiliary battery, so I've got light at night. When I go to Cape York I'll have storage boxes filling all of that space. I've taken out the back seat to make more room. It gives about 30% more storage room. That front awning extension is away from the vehicle deliberately so that I can access the front door or the front passenger seat without having to go around and get wet. And finally I rigged up this blue tarp over the top of the tailgate so that if it is wet I can access my fridge and other items without getting saturated. Would have been nice to have had a 270-degree awning, but I didn't think about that at the time, did I? As I said, all up, I'm going to have to cut this down to no more than about 30 minutes. Practice makes perfect, and I'll be a lot quicker next time I have to do it, I'm sure, particularly if there's the threat of rain. When I get home I'll show you all the storage boxes that I'm going to take. They're all self-contained and have got everything that I need to go away for possibly 6 to 8 weeks. Right, time for a cup of coffee and see if the fish are biting. Well, I'm sure I've said it before, but the serenity. What a beautiful day. Right, well, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not having any big hopes about catching anything just for a little while. I think it'll probably be fairly slow until later on this afternoon, but got to be in it to win it. So 2 rods, this one's unweighted, both with not the janjuck worms. and we'll just leave them out there to soak for a while and see what happens. This kangaroo must be pretty thirsty. Quite often see them come down this bank in the afternoons, particularly in summer. And he's been there for a while and he's been sucking up that water. I think he might have heard me talking. A darter, also called a snakebird, gone. Half-hour progress report. I've had one sharp bite which I missed by a country mile. I'll tell you one thing, I won't be sitting on a bank in a chair like this when I go to far north Queensland. Way too many snapping handbags. While I'm waiting for some action, I might bait up a couple of yabby nets, although I'm after shrimps. I just use dry dog biscuits like this, like so. Someone's been eating oysters. I'm sure they didn't get those here.
One hour later.
Time for an impatience check. Nothing. And nothing again. Dead as the proverbial dodo. Nothing for at least an hour now. Not looking very promising, but then I didn't come here to fish. I came to shake down the camping experience. So any fish will be a bonus. Still got about 3 hours till dark. You never know. Finally, a fish on bread on the float. It's only a little carp, but any fish is better than nothing. And that's what I've had most of the afternoon. About a kilo of scum sucker. Another bite on the float. Bread. And I'd say it's another carp. Sure is. Sun's going down, time to have some food. Here's a fire I prepared earlier. On with the magic firelighters. I'd planned to go to Cape York last year in July, but COVID put an end to that. As it is, this is going to be a solo trip to Cape York. I'm going by myself. I had 4 additional guys lined up. All of them fell through for one reason or another. So I'm not getting any younger, nor's my car, so this year has to be the year. So no doubt I'll be able to team up with somebody else in the same boat, just to make life a bit easier and a bit of company. But I'm really not fazed by that. I spend lots of time on my own camping, have done since I was a kid, so I'm not at all stressed by that. But certainly for safety, and if you get stuck or something like that, it's good to have another person and another vehicle as well. It's about a 3,200 kilometre journey from Adelaide to Cairns, which is the jumping off point for Cape York. I'm anticipating that will take me about 5 days. I'll probably stop and look at a few points of interest along the way. I'm certainly not in any hurry, and I don't have any time frame in mind. I could be away 6 to 8 weeks, it wouldn't worry me. I've got my leave pass. So, things that could slow me down. Bad weather through New South Wales, into Queensland, flooded roads, that sort of thing. There's been a lot of rain up there of late. Hopefully that will be cleared by the time I go, which at this stage I'm aiming for the first week of July. That should get me up there just about the same time as the Queensland school holidays finish, and that's quite deliberate. It's going to be busy enough as it is with people not able to travel overseas, so if I can avoid that I will. I have a choice of routes. I could go up through Inaminka and Birdsville, but that's very rough road in places. I've been up there before, so I think I'll stick to the bitumen. I'm planning to go to Broken Hill, Cobar, Burke, and then head north to Queensland from there, and then across to Townsville and up the coast to Cairns. That's the plan. So I'm probably about 6 or 7 weeks away from leaving. I've still got a few things to do. I've organised most of my gear and most of my food except for fresh food. All my storage boxes are packed with all the things that I need. I still have to get new tyres on the car, and I still have to get the car serviced. So I've got to be a lot quicker setting up the big tent. The awning and side panels is a pretty straightforward job, but putting up the tent takes a lot longer. If it rains, I'm going to have to be a lot quicker. I've learnt that I need 2 more poles. Just as well I checked before I went. Yes, I'm planning to do plenty of fishing. The fishing in far north Queensland can be absolutely sensational, and there are lots of areas that I can try, but above all you have to be croc-wise, and hence my comment before about not camping this close to the water. They recommend at least 50 metres bank, and probably a nice steep bank as well if you can find one. Most of my fishing will probably be lure fishing. If I catch something small and undesirable, I might chop that up for bait, but I want to spend a bit of time using soft plastics and hard bodies, and I'm sure there'll be lots of places where I can safely fish into the ocean. So that's about the sum of it. I'll sit up for a little while, have a coffee, then I'll head off to bed early, read a book for a while and get a good night's sleep. The next morning, while having breakfast, I was visited by a juvenile butcher bird. He proved to be quite keen on my wheat bix. Soon after, Mum and Dad turned up, and then they were all demanding a feed. Soon after, it began to threaten rain, so I decided to forego any further fishing and headed for home. Deconstructing the camp was a pretty simple affair and took me about half the time it took to put it up. Okay, so I'm back home now. I've just unpacked the car, just to show you the sort of space that I've got. I've got this storage space alongside the fridge cabinet, and then in the back is a fixed storage box, and I've got room on top of that so I can pack it pretty well up to the top of the window level, and also space on top of the plywood box as well. A rack for hats. I've also insulated the side windows to try and keep the direct sunlight off the fridge and the contents in the back, just using a couple of old windshield covers. Doors open and everything removed, and the back seat's out, you can see I've got a fair bit of storage space in here, and this is where the black storage tubs, which I'll show you in a minute, are going to go. I can get 6 in there, 200 litres and 4 by 60 litres. I think I've got it covered. Tailgate assist, one of the best things I ever did. No more smashed arms and knees when the tailgate comes crashing down. Just a couple of little gas assisted struts, one on each side. Wonderful invention. Back in the man cave, and preparations well underway. 2 storage boxes to go on the roof. The top one with fishing tackle and the bottom one with light items that won't be used that often. 100 litre boxes. I have a toolbox, a few spares and recovery items. 60 litre box has cooking gear in it. Oven, max track supports, ground sheets, bag of pegs, water, gas bottle, VA mats for padding, sleeping bag, rod tubes. 100 litre box has all my other cooking gear in it. Last couple of boxes, non-perishable food in the bottom, and then all my kitchen gear, washing up gear, cups, bowls, etc. in that one. And this one has toiletries and bug spray, of which I have plenty. Last but not least, hidden here under the boat, I've got one other box of food, a compressor and solar panels. All in all, it's a lot of shit. If you've lasted this far through the video, congratulations. Now you've just got to wait for the big event to happen, and I'll be posting it, of course, when I get back.